music indicates it's time. It's Matt Miller time here on Drew and KB. Tim Scott filling in today for Drew. And a chance to talk to Drew before his nap today. Feeling much, much better after the hip surgery, and he'll be back in the slot on a Monday. So, Matt, I've been waiting all week knowing I'm in for Drew. I wanted to talk to you about something, and KB's going to roll his eyes when I do this, but I wanted to tell, and I think I brought this up on Monday. I want to talk to you about WrestleMania. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And why I want, not about the matches. What did you think of the Cody Rhodes story? Not that. But I was watching Sunday, and the pre-match stuff and the match stuff and post-match stuff. And I thought to myself, my God, they are turning this into like actual sports coverage. They had post press conferences. They had a Tom Rinaldi piece before we get underway with the Prime. And I thought to myself, if you're in the media, how do you keep a straight face asking legitimate questions? And as I'm watching this, I also thought to myself, do these people know it's scripted? Storyline with this? Just taken aback about how it was presented. It was packaged, and you saw the numbers. They were huge. But it just had a look and feel like it was a Super Bowl, an NCAA championship game, a big boxing match, UFC, you name it. And I know the UFC runs it, but I just wanted to, from a man about film, a man of media, what was your take on this stuff?
Yeah, for me, it was the Rock effect, and I've been really interested watching all of this WrestleMania stuff from the perspective of, Dwayne Johnson really trying to rebrand himself after he has had an awful past several years. He's had flop after flop at the box office. He claimed he was going to be he kind of tried to wedge his way into the Warner Brothers DC superhero cinematic universe, and that blew up in his face. And now he's kind of, it was really interesting. His career had pivoted from being a really interesting actor, a guy who could do stuff like Pain and Gain. He was going to be the next Schwarzenegger. And I mean that in a positive way, where Schwarzenegger worked with interesting directors and made interesting movies. He made The Terminator. He made Total Recall. He made Predator. These are fun, good, smartly made movies. And The Rock was going in that direction. And then he pivoted to brand mode. He pivoted to I am Dwayne Johnson trademark symbol, and all of his movies.
And San Andreas Fault, he pivoted to that. Didn't help.
San Andreas. And, every movie he's wearing, a tan button-down shirt with a white undershirt underneath, and he wasn't playing a character anymore. He was just Dwayne Johnson is Dwayne Johnson in, Skyscraper. Dwayne Johnson is Dwayne Johnson in this. And I thought it was really interesting to see him pivot to, all right, I've kind of wrecked my film career for a little bit here. I'm not the superstar I once was. Let me go back to wrestling and become a villain. Let me flex my acting muscles a little bit again and be kind of the bad guy at WrestleMania for the next few months. And it worked out really well. I think people are excited about The Rock again. People were obviously really into this year's WrestleMania. And yeah, I think it's really interesting, the whole Rock thing. He's going to have an A24 movie coming out soon, which for people who don't know, A24 is the kind of fancy indie studio that makes really interesting indie movies like the Everything Everywhere All at Once, Moonlight, The Iron Claw, the wrestling movie that came out this past Christmas. It makes really interesting movies. And the fact that Dwayne Johnson is I want in on that tells me he wants to start acting again.
You know what he needs to do? But you know how Hollywood hasn't had an original idea in years, and they're doing remakes. I think what Dwayne The Rock Johnson needs to do is remake every bad Stallone movie. Over the top, cliffhanger.
How dare you? Cliffhanger's good.
What was the one he did? Rhinestone, right?
Rhinestone.
Did he do the one with Dolly?
Yeah.
Rhinestone.
Yeah. What was the one where he was a cat?
Cobra. I like Cobra. I like Cobra. Come on now.
See, this is the thing that I've always been saying. Don't remake movies we like. Don't do a RoboCop remake. Don't do a remake of movies that we all agree are already
You liked
good.
Over the Top? The arm wrestling movie?
Yeah, remake that movie.
Yes.
Remake the kind of garbage movies where it's like, okay, we didn't get it right the first time. Let's try again. Let's try a different actor. Let's try, I don't understand why it's like, oh, we should remake this beloved thing. Well, that's just so they announced this week that they're going to remake The Running Man, the Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's like, that's not a bad idea because I don't think anyone really loves that original Running Man movie. It's not like a top 5, 10 Schwarzenegger movie, but it's a great premise and it's a cool idea. And obviously you could definitely update it for the TikTok social media generation world that we live in. So I think that's the stuff we should be doing. We shouldn't be, remaking beloved movies for the 14th time and being like, oh, why don't people want to be reminded of the better movie they could be watching?
Absolutely, we shouldn't do that. And
Roadhouse.
Yes, that is the one I will not bring
Jake
myself.
Gyllenhaal, come on, man.
I will not bring myself to. That is the worst movie ever right now. Why would you remake it? That's
au contraire. The original Roadhouse
was good.
Rules.
It does. It is so.
Rules.
That is the best bad movie ever. That and maybe Backdraft, which I think was released and it was still called Rough Draft.
Have you rewatched the original Roadhouse recently, KB?
Oh, a million times.
There are shots in that original Roadhouse where you're like, they don't make movies like this anymore. There's the shot of Swayze and Sam Elliott in the car, and like the camera shot is framed where Sam Elliott's face is right in the chunk of the windshield that got broken by some rowdy patrons at the Roadhouse recently. It's an incredible, gorgeous shot in Roadhouse. You can't find a shot that good in the new Roadhouse because they don't care the same way anymore. They don't bother really caring about setting up an interesting shot anymore. They're just trying to get done with the day.
Or Patrick Swayze coming to town, and the first morning he's there, just randomly doing Tai Chi outside of a barn, just for no apparent reason, with his shirt off, wearing a pair of Zubaz pants, and his tan skin glistening in the southern sun. Well, come on, man. That's awesome.
It's one of the horniest movies ever made. Like next to like Porky's, like it is such a horny movie, that movie.
Okay, and with Ben Gazzara.
Who's the musician in the movie that plays is it Jeff Staley? What was it?
Jeff Healey.
Jeff Healey, that's right. Jeff Healey, yeah.
He committed suicide later on in life. The blind guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jeff Healey.
The other tidbit from that movie that I love to remind people of, and you've got to be a child of the 70s. Remember the TV show Emergency?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Kevin Tye. One of the paramedics he owns the bar.
Yeah, Kevin
Tye. Yeah.
Squad 51, Engine 51.
Yeah.
See the man at the corner of La Brea.
I used to have the lunchbox back in the day. Mm-hmm. There you go. I just, I saw that. I'm like, okay. So now, is there a remake? And you mentioned Running Man, and maybe that's what we're referring to, but is there one that you would love to see them attempt to bring back? An updated version, if you will? Or are you pretty satisfied, Matt Miller?
It's a tough question, because the thing is, then you like have to roll through the Rolodex and remember forgettable and bad movies, like movies that you have pushed to the furthest part of your brains. That's a really interesting. None immediately come to mind, I will say. I do think Running Man is a great nominee for this. I think it's such a good premise for a movie that, like, obviously remake that, So
who's going to be the game show host? Because wasn't Richard Dawson? Wasn't he the original game show host in that movie?
I don't know who you would have to do that. You could maybe, I think it would be fun if you got like a Jimmy Fallon or something like that to do that.
Okay.
Playing like the sociopathic version of himself. I think because there is that kind of like, I don't know, Teflon vibe to Jimmy Fallon that I think makes people not like him sometimes on his show. So I think maybe you could play into that a little bit, how like Jason Bateman was funny, but then people realized he could have a dark side. And then it's not going to be Schwarzenegger, and it's not going to be a guy like Schwarzenegger in the lead for The Running Man. It's going to be Glenn Powell, who was just in the Anyone But You movie, the rom-com that came out at Christmas that did really well. And he was the new Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick. He was the hot shot in Top Gun Maverick. Right. He is a movie star. That dude rules. He's going to be in Twisters this summer as well. Hollywood's finally realized that that dude is an awesome actor and a movie star in the making. So
let's put him in another bad remake.
that's all Hollywood's got. That's what they got. Because when they make original movies, we, the audience, don't tend to show up. Sad face.
So what's going on in your world locally? You got all kinds of stuff going on, right?
Yeah, we got the Milwaukee Film Festival going on right now throughout the city. So we've got the Oriental, the Times, and the Avalon and the Downer, which is back open after closing last year. They've got a bunch of great movies from a bunch of different topics. I know they got a documentary about the first unofficial Women's World Cup back when FIFA and global soccer didn't think that would be something people would be interested in. They've got a documentary about all sorts of really cool sports stuff. They've got horror movies. They've got, dramas from across the globe, food porn movies, not literal porn, but like movies with food that looks really good that is going to make you want to eat the chair in front of you. It's going to be really great, running through April 25th. So a lot of really great stuff.
Plus, we've got 414 Day on Sunday.
We do have 414 Day. And hopefully, it should be hopefully a good day. I know I'll be at the Harley-Davidson Museum with our 414 Day party. We're going to have giveaways, music, and also a 4.14-pound burger eating competition, which we did last year, and I'm amazed no one puked because that is a startling amount of burger to eat.
And then we wonder why third world nations hate us.
Yeah,
because we use food as a game.
It is a little bit of a thing where it's like, I hope the food that doesn't get eaten goes somewhere nice, but it's a fun time.
All right. So you're going to go out of your way this weekend, Sunday specifically, because I know you're a baseball guy too. You watch Corbin Burns and the Brewers, is he going to be dialed in? We're kind of like, yeah, it's not that kind of a big deal, is it? Or is it a big deal to you to watch this game?
It's nowhere near as big of a deal as the first time the Cubs come to town. I think first of all, we already have our "you betrayed us" story of this season, and it's Craig Counsell in Chicago. And also, I think we all knew Corbin Burns was going to be gone. We were resigned to this fact for a long time ago. And the fact that we got something back for him, we weren't abandoned. And he went to a team that I don't think any of us resent. I have no ill will towards the Baltimore Orioles. I think they're one of them. I would root for them over most teams in the World Series.
That's a team that should never be allowed to change their logo or their home uniforms.
Correct. They need to be Smiley Birds forever.
Mm-hmm.
They got that one right the first time. Yeah.
Right.
But I don't have a resentment towards the Orioles. I don't have a resentment towards Corbin Burns. If he had gone to the Yankees, might be a different story, because then it would be like, oh, great, guy went to the Yankees, as they all do. But, he went to the Orioles. He went to a place where it's a little bit harder to win a championship, to go to the World Series. So I have no ill will towards him. Hopefully he has one of his bad days against us, though.
I think the other part about it, and Hunter and I talked about this before he came on the air today, Matt, is that we knew it was inevitable he's going to be traded anyway, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got
so
an extra year out of him.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like he pounded the table and demanded a trade and got shipped out. It's like, it's the Brewer way,
Mm-hmm.
We groom them, we build them, and then we ship them out.
Yeah, it kind of worked out perfectly for everybody. The Brewers got some really good pieces. He got to go to a contender in a different city with a bigger pay, kind of a win. And again, he didn't go to a team we hate. He didn't go to the Cardinals. He didn't go to the Yankees or the Red Sox or, one of the Dodgers. He went to a team that if they make the World Series next year, I'd probably be rooting for them because they're a fun, young, kind of Milwaukee-like team where it's like, they don't get the Corbin Burnses of the world all the time. This is like a big move for the Orioles. So,
Matt, before we let you go, real quick, Johnny the Painter wants to know what time you're going to be at the Harley Museum.
I'm going to be there for sure at 5 o'clock because that's when the burger eating competition is, and I will be announcing that. But I will be there on Sunday, probably late afternoon to right after the burger competition. So, yeah, come on by. It starts at 11. I'll probably be there around 1 or 2 o'clock. And we'll have a great time. Like I said, there's going to be beer, music, food, giveaways. It's going to be a great time if you can tolerate my existence.
Good stuff, my friend. Hey, have a fantastic weekend. We'll be watching. We'll be reading. We'll keep up with you. We'll talk next week, okay?
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. And
Thanks,